Hi everyone, trust you're keeping well and safe. So today I want to share with you something fairly different to the normal content, the usual content I used to share. And today I want to share with you a testimony of God's goodness and absolute faithfulness in my life. So recently I was awarded the Fellowship Diploma, the FLCM of the London College of Music and University of West London in the area of Speech and Drama Thesis. Now, for those of you who don't know, for Sri Lankan speech and drama teachers or elocution teachers, as you would know them, this qualification is one of the highest qualifications that can be obtained at present in the country. So I'm very grateful and I want to thank God and give Him all glory for enabling me to achieve this today. And having said that, there is an account of God's goodness in this process, because this was a process. This qualification is not something that I achieved within a short span of time. There is a story. So I want to share with you this account of God's goodness and how He brought me to this place today. So I first decided to take this exam in the year 2011, and this particular fellowship diploma can be taken in two parts. So you could do the performing option of it, where you have to perform a recital for 45 minutes, and then you will be assessed on that, and if you're good enough, you will get your diploma. So that is one aspect. Then there's another second pathway to it, and that is the thesis option, which is a full-blown dissertation equivalent to a master's level dissertation that the candidate has to write. So you can take one of those two options and try for the FLCM. So in 2011, I took the performing option, and I was in my early 20s then, and I took this option, and somehow I failed it in 2011. And one of the main reasons was because I fell short of the timing requirement. So therefore, it was understandable. I also realized that I maybe should have put more effort into it and care into it and done it. So I wasn't too upset about that. But still, I wanted to take it again because I really loved this subject and this was something dear to my heart. So I thought, okay, second time I'm going to take this again. And my mom also encouraged me to try it for the second time. So this time I went to a completely different teacher, and I worked extremely hard, very, very hard. And I did my best. And then, so this was 2012, 10 years ago. And I went for the exam, the same option, the performing option. And to my great dismay, I failed again. And this time, the failure was much more acute because I know I worked really hard. I did my best. So I couldn't really understand what happened. And also, I trusted God. I believed that He will get me through. I prayed. I did everything that I need to do on my part. So I felt as if God let me down in that instance. And also, there was one other thing that was bothering me a bit, and that was my teacher at the time, the new teacher I've been to. I wasn't really sure if she genuinely did her best by me due to certain reasons. I had my doubts about it, but of course I was young and I may have been wrong. I didn't have concrete proof of anything, but I still had certain doubts about her performance in that incident. But anyway, nothing could be done. I had failed and I was deeply hurt. I was really upset about it, but there was nothing that could be done. So I put this aside and I thought, I am never ever going to be involved with speech and drama. I'm not going to have to do anything with this. And but anyway, I couldn't stay in that state for long. So throughout that time, I did various other diplomas by the grace of God. But still, this pain of rejection, the pain of failure was still there with me, and that doubt about that teacher also remained with me. And then time took over, and 10 years down the line, purely by God's grace and goodness, I was able to achieve 7 degrees and then also 9 other diplomas in this area. And also I had done really well in my professional life as well, by His grace. And life was all right. And I had forgotten about this. I had moved on, and this was an old story long time ago, and it didn't really bother me too much 10 years after. But since last year, the Lord had really been nudging me to take the thesis option again from last year. But I was too afraid to try it because I didn't want to fail. And the pain of failure is an awful feeling to have, the pain of rejection. So I didn't want to fail for the third time. So I didn't want to do it. But still, the Lord kept nudging and nudging and nudging me. And then, just to please Him, I thought, okay, I will write the thesis proposal and I will send it to LCM. That was the requirement of the syllabus. That was the first step in taking this exam. So I wrote it and I sent it. And then, to my pleasant surprise, they approved it. I didn't think that they will. I wasn't sure if they were going to, but they did. They did approve it, and they gave me the green light to start the research work and start writing the thesis. Now, I had got myself approved as well. I had the approval from LCM, but still I doubted. I was still afraid, and I was thinking, oh, this is quite an expensive exam option as well. And again, the failure factor was the main reason. I didn't want to go ahead with it. So I kept postponing it. I ignored God whenever He would tell me do this, or He would start nudging me to write it. I conveniently got busy and did other things. And I kept pushing this off because I just didn't want to fail. I didn't want to go through that again. And then towards the end of last year and the very beginning of this year, this urge and the nudge from the Holy Spirit to do this became very strong. Especially during the early hours of the morning, the Lord would really shake me and nudge me to do this, to sit down and write this. And then finally I thought, okay, Lord, then I will write this. Okay. And this time I'm not going to work with any teacher. I'm going to totally trust you because I'm doing this because of you. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust the academic abilities you have given me. And I'm going to do this trusting you on my own. So because I had written 6 dissertations by then and 5 of them being masters, I knew the academic side fairly well. I was comfortable with handling that on my own. But the content side, the real subject matter, was a bit of a challenge because this subject area in Sri Lanka is scarcely researched on in terms of an academic level. So there wasn't any publications or scholarly articles or resources generally that are necessary to write this type of a dissertation. Those weren't really available here. So I had a problem with that. But then during these 10 years, because I love drama, I used to go watch plays with my friends. And something I just used to do for fun, I used to come home and take notes on those plays, research on them, the genres and things like that. And I had a set of notes. And then I also used to watch YouTube videos, watch interviews online with actors, theatre practitioners, directors, all of that. So, and I used to make notes on them. So I remembered that, hey, I actually have this. And that was a lot of information that I had that was relevant to my topic. So I realized, okay, the Lord had already prepared this area as well. So I started writing it. And by God's grace, I finished writing it. And then I was still afraid to go ahead with this. But now that I've written it, I thought, okay, I will change my local representations because we have to send this through local reps. So I went to a brand new local rep and I paid my exam fee, submitted my documentation. And somehow there was some sort of challenge that propped up during that time, and the local rep called me and said that she won't be able to process my application, and I was on my own. And now I was thinking, Lord, I have done all this work. What am I going to do? And then after 1 hour, she calls me back again and say, I'm going to give you a chance and I'm going to process your application. So I was very thankful, and I was able to see through my application process through them. And the application process took about 4 months to be finalized, whereas it's just a matter of minutes actually. But in my case, it took about 4 months. And also during this time, when I first paid my exam fee, I paid a certain amount, but I think 1 or 2 days after that, the rupee depreciated and they floated the rupee. So the pound rate increased. And I was thinking, God, the timing of that. If not, I would have had to pay a lot more for this exam. So all of that the Lord had sorted. And then again, there were other challenges that cropped up with the application process, and these local reps whom the Lord led me to actually did a fantastic job, and they handled all those challenges, and they saw through till the completion of this process. And also there was two other senior teachers and lovely people that I have to remember at this time and be very grateful to them, because they encouraged and supported me, and looked at the authentication side of my work because they knew me. So they were very supportive as well. So I'm thankful to God for them as well. And so with this process, somehow, I think after about 6 months, and usually the results come in like a month or a month and a half maybe, right? But my process took about 6 months. And finally, after about 6 months, I got my results and I had passed. And so here's my certificate, and this is what I'm very, very grateful to the Lord for. But what I want to really share in this, with this testimony, is that, see, when God was telling me to do this, I told him, God, I don't want to do this. I already have this amount of degrees. I have 9 diplomas. I've done well in my career, and why do I need to do this? I was verbalizing that to God, but in my subconscious mind, I really needed this win because I had a question mark about God's faithfulness. I really did, but I didn't want to tell him that. But I was telling him I didn't want to do this because I was afraid of failing. So I was giving God these excuses, but he didn't want to listen to any of my excuses, and he kept coming after me, pushing me, pressing on, encouraging me to do this. So this was something that I had completely forgotten. I didn't want to do it. I had given up. I had forgotten, moved on. I wasn't waiting on God for it. I wasn't praying about it, right? And I had moved on. But God, in his goodness, in his faithfulness, because he is my Father, saw the need for me to see his faithfulness in this. And he alone pushed me to take this exam. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have taken this, really. If it wasn't for that nudge from the Lord, I wouldn't have taken it. But he pushed me and made sure I did it. And even when I was writing this, I remember telling him, Lord, so because I'm not working with any teacher, if this comes through, all glory goes to you. And that is one of the main reasons why I chose not to work with a teacher, because I just wanted God to have the glory if it comes through. I was speaking in doubt, of course, back then. And I told God, okay, on you then. And so I did this, and I want to thank God for his faithfulness, and today when I look back at this option, I'm glad that I took this one, because the thesis option fits better with my future aspirations, with my academic background. It fits better. I already had another fellowship anyway, Fellowship Diploma from a different college in performing, so having a second one wouldn't have made much sense. So this gives my credentials a good balance as well. And during the 10 years, the Lord had prepared me in the academic side. I had written 6 dissertations, so this was my 7th, so I just knew how to do the academic research side of things. I didn't struggle with it at all. So God had undertaken for every step, everything he had looked after and provided and prepared me. So 10 years down the line, I will be able to do this on my own, trusting him. And so I want to encourage you with this and leave this thought with you. If there is something that you are struggling with and you feel God has let you down, or things didn't work out, maybe many years ago, there is still hope. If that desire is still in your heart, and if that is something that props up, then there is still hope. Until God says it's done, it's not done. Until God closes a door, it's not closed. So that's what I want to share with you. And finally, every time I see this certificate, even though I have several, by God's grace, this qualification is very close to my heart and important to me, not only because of the credentials, but because every time I see this, I remember the lettering of God is faithful. That is what I see here. God is faithful. Even when I have forgotten and given up, he remained faithful. So I'm very grateful to him, and I want to share this with you. And also, this video is actually something I told God about. I told him, okay, if I get through this, I will share this testimony with the world because I want people to know of your goodness and your faithfulness, even under very trying circumstances. So thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that this encouraged you to resurrect areas in your life that you have given up, where you trusted God and you had given up. I encourage you to resurrect those areas and trust the Lord and obey Him. That's the key thing. Obedience is key, and He will do something amazing in your life. Thank you, and God bless you.